This weekend, Ryan is getting 11% off, Andy is flipping digital balls, and we rip off RoboCop on the Genesis. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andy.
And this is Weekend Rental, episode 203. All right, everybody, welcome back. Andy, how are you doing? Enjoying summer?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's finally here.
91 degrees in 2 days, I've heard.
Oh, gosh. Too hot.
Yeah. It's not been fun. We've been doing the whole yard work, choring around here. I know you've been doing some of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Trying to get a house sold, so
yeah,
a lot of stuff that goes along with that, but almost.
Yeah, it's fun. And we're doing the normal yard work and then some house fixes too to potentially sell ours. We'll see if we do or not. The market's hot right now, so
yeah,
might be worth it. That way I can afford those $2, even if they cost my kids a couple bucks more, you know? So speaking of that, I'm just going to go off into one of my fun random household trips because this ties into the whole choring, working on the house. So if you're in the United States and live anywhere basically in the upper Midwest, you'll be familiar with a chain called Menards. They're basically like a very large regional version of like a Home Depot or Lowe's, all your home supply goods. And the way they suck you in is like they run an 11% off sale pretty much all year round. So anytime you spend money there, you get a receipt and you can send that back for 11% rebate on all your purchases. So it kind of has become the de facto. I mean, I would say pretty much everyone in our region shops there almost exclusively for building supplies and stuff.
Yeah. Because my mother works at Fleet Farm, I get 20% off there. So they still get me pulled into Fleet Farm, but someday it might be a Menards. There might be a Menards conversion at some point.
I'd be going for Fleet Farm then too. All of this anyways, beside the point. On one of like my many trips though, over the last few days, I think I've been there like half a dozen times. I walked in and this was like our third trip there in a day. So I was like, all right, we got our stuff. Let me hit the bathroom before we check out. And I had quite the experience. I turned to the corner to walk into the men's bathroom, and then I walked over to where the stalls are, and I got across the dividing wall to where there's just like 3 urinals before you get to the toilets. And there's like, I don't know, let's say he's like a 70-ish, he might be a little older man, standing up at the urinal, but like his arms draped by his side like an orangutan, like almost kind of behind his back even, just like not holding on to anything. Just like the strangest urinal pose I think I've ever seen, other than just like dropping your pants and your underwear to your ankles. And then what makes it even better is on his shoulder is a fucking house cat, just chilling on this guy. Like he's wearing it like a airplane pillow. There's just this cat hanging out with this man in a store while he's on the urinal.
Wow.
Not controlling any of his manhood. And I just didn't know what to think about that. And I wanted to look over a little more, but like, you know, it's not the situation for that. And yeah, he finished his business, used the hand dryer. Cat didn't freak out, which amazed me. And then just continued like shopping in Menards. Like it was normal to walk around with a cat.
I mean, then to also dangle things around the cat is probably you're asking for trouble then.
I know.
That could have been a bad situation in that Menards urinal.
It was insane to me because like even like I feel like people push it with comfort dogs sometimes, but like cat is like, what are we doing in a hardware store, a home goods store? I don't know. So yeah, that Menards it'll forever be burned into my brain. Quite the experience.
Maybe he's putting the cat in the 11% off bag.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's going to hand out a free cat. Give me your 11% rebate. You can have my cat.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's just the store cat. I mean, it could just be wandering. You know, sometimes like even in Fleet Farm, there's just like birds get inside the building. Right. And there's just like birds everywhere up in the rafters. You know, cats probably get in there too.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe, he's working the gig because there are definitely birds in there. So yeah, maybe he's a hired hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, so then the thing I did before Menards was obviously it was a Saturday and I got distracted and there were like yard sale signs. So I didn't really go out of my way for yard sales. I just was like, well, if I happen across some on the way to get my stuff for working on the yard, we'll stop at a few. So we did. I hit like, I don't know, 8 sales maybe. I wasn't really looking for anything in particular. One did have, well, a couple of them had video games. One was like clearly like the typical, I've had this box of games and no one's buying the sports games for like the last 10 years. But there was a guy that had like a 64 game. I think it would have been Star Fox. The label was roached. He had some Xbox One stuff, and then he had a supposedly never been opened NES Classic for 40, which is probably a good deal, but I didn't pull the trigger on any of it, so I don't know.
Well, it's cool to see, though.
Yeah, it was nice to see, especially when you're just stopping at a couple sales. And that I sent you the picture. I found a guy who had a garage sale, and then for some reason he had like the complete box sealed collection of Xena the Warrior Princess figurines. I really contemplated the Bruce Campbell one, but I was like, this makes no sense out of context with the rest of the cast, so I did not buy it. But I did.
Why now? You know, why do you dump that now?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing: is like this guy's sale. He was like an older retired guy, and you could tell like he just does this. Like this is his thing to like bait people, and then he traps everybody in there and starts telling you 20 stories. Like so coincidentally, my son's gonna be playing trombone. This guy just happened to have a trombone in there for 60, or he wanted $75. I was like, I'll give you 60, which is a great deal, right? Except I lost like 25 minutes of my fucking life. All culminating in like how he sold a cello out of the back of his car one time for like $800. I was like, great. That's an awesome story. Thank you, sir. So it was a sale that if I ever drive past again, I will never walk in there. So he was talking everybody's ear off. It was crazy. He would get like one person and everybody, you could tell like everyone at the sale was like, oh shit, like keeping their head down, like skirting around. But
it's amazing that those people like don't have the realization of how much stress you're putting on like introverts.
Well, end the sale. Like I was almost ready to leave that trombone. Like, I'm just like, never mind. I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
He was a really nice guy, but yeah, it was that's definitely his summertime weekend hobby. I can guarantee you. He was even like, he must have been like really into like currency because he was like selling all sorts of like foreign denominations and like, I think he was like telling somebody else that he goes to like coin fair. I don't know what they call it. What are those like? Whatever we do for retro games for coin people, I guess. But
yeah. So he was the original Bitcoin bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was cool to go to a few sales, and I've never bought a trombone at a garage sale before, so first for everything.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Yep.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm going to be on a lookout for a flute. So.
I can check my wife's pussy.
I didn't know she went to band camp.
You can take that out of the edit. It's totally up to you. She's not going to listen to it, so I guess it's fine. Yeah. So what else you been up to, man?
Cats and Menards. That's where we're going to finish that. Not much. But been a lot going on, I guess. Just kind of keeping up with everything. I got a new TV.
Oh, because you needed one, or you just decided to upgrade?
Because my son was playing PlayStation VR.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and put a big old crack in the TV. So it was not a great day around here about that, but and it's unfortunate because we were having a party for him.
Oh, really?
It was like his party.
Oh no.
And then it's like kind of at the end where everybody's starting to wind up, and he was just he thought he could get some game time in, and then I did that, and it's like, oh no.
What kind of like was this like an expensive TV? Like I know you had like a really quality like plasma or something at one point, right? Like or was this just
Yeah,
like
I
a
still
cheap?
I still have that one. This one was a good one when it was made. It's probably not a high
Sure,
end thing nowadays, but uh, we're also trying to finish off our basement, and it was just at the wrong time of being like, I was going to buy a nice TV for down there. What do you
sure.
do now? So in the meantime, I just bought a cheap thing from Costco, and so far I'm kind of impressed with how good TVs are for just like basically nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like pretty much exclusively like Walmart's like Black Friday deal, like on or whatever their brands are, and like I'm amazed. Like I know that they won't last forever, but the picture quality for like $300 to $400 is kind of impressive.
Yep. Yeah,
Is
it's nuts.
smart TV, I assume, like Roku TV or Fire Stick?
Yeah, it's a Fire, which I didn't. We've always had Roku stuff.
Hmm.
It's so much. I mean, it's nicer to just be in an ecosystem like that, whereas Amazon is a little bit more like, here's a here's a product you can buy on Amazon. It's like, I don't need an ad for that. Thank
Right.
you. But
But so far, you're getting your money's worth.
yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like even if it lasts for like a year or two, it's like, well, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think like of all the cheapos I've bought, I've maybe only had one like just flat out die. Like usually it's just I upgrade and one gets moved out, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've never seen the value in going to like the super expensive. I mean, also like part of it too is like having worked in retail and like selling those TVs and like understanding like a lot of the differences in the components. And it's like there's very few brands that like are actually doing it better. Like a lot of the stuff's coming from the same places, right?
Yeah, the panels are all sourced from the same place pretty much,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. What size did you get to replace it? Larger or same or
58, which I didn't even know that would even existed
that's an
anymore.
odd
But
number.
yeah,
Huh.
it's just a cheap TCL 58.
So what was the reaction from him? Was he like immediately panicked that you were going to like kill him?
Yeah, he ran to his room immediately and knew what he did, I guess. But
I mean that could happen to any one of us, right? Like I've definitely punched my TV
oh
playing
yeah,
VR, especially
right,
PlayStation VR, because like the proximity is just like right there.
yeah, and especially since it's like his party, I was way more on the calm side than I probably would be on a normal day.
You're lucky all your
But
family and friends are here, or else.
uh, yeah.
That's a bummer.
But I am moving the PlayStation VR. I'm
Not a bad
it's probably a
idea.
time. It's probably a time for that to be a retired console in this house. So
Yeah, or put it on like a TV that's mounted 8 feet in the air, like a little 30 inch or something.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's crazy, but kind of almost what you expect with VR.
it's well, and it's amazed that I haven't had to do it until now anyway, right?
Right.
Like you assume somewhere along the line, just a kid not knowing what he's doing is just gonna like throw a toy or something and hit it
Hmm.
or something. But
Yeah. Actually, Jill and I were, my wife and I were just talking about that this last weekend, how like when you have kids, like you just eventually like pretty quickly concede that like you just won't have nice things because everything you cherish will end up broken or covered in like
yeah,
goo. So you learn to
yep,
just like let everything go after a while.
right. Especially when your kids get into the same type of things that you enjoy, then it's like, oh, they don't take care of things as well as
Mm.
up to the standard that you think they will.
Yeah, ask my
But
son about that Breath of the Wild that went missing.
yeah,
Dad didn't appreciate that. Dad might have taken
uh,
money from his wallet to teach him a lesson.
uh,
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about a couple random crazy things that have happened. I put them both on here because I think they're both like equally absurd. Um, because they're games that have or have not existed forever. But so GTA 6, right? We finally got the release date, and they said, yeah, we're not going to make this year, which I don't think anybody was surprised by that. I am surprised though that they put June, because I also don't think they're going to make that. I suspect as we get closer, they're going to bump it to the holiday. I think that's a good sounding number though, because they'll get investors thinking that that's going to happen the first quarter of the new fiscal year. So there's going to be a lot of money coming in. But the new trailer came out. Did you watch that?
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. I mean, it looks crazy. Like the graphics on that is just like,
yeah.
wow.
But it's hard to know like what's in game, if any of it was, right? I mean, not that it would matter. It was beautiful anyway. I think like the couple dynamic is the most interesting thing for me. Like they've never done that before, where it's like coming up as like a scrappy couple or whatever. Also,
yeah,
it seems like somebody on the Rockstar staff is really an ass man, because there was like a lot of low butt shots for the female character.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder if this is like going to be kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing. Is that?
Yeah.
Seems like the direction that they're trying to go, right?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I feel like there'll be that inevitable like relationship double cross, right? Like somebody steps out of line and goes sideways. Maybe you'll get to do like the whole what's the one from the It Takes Two people? The Escape or whatever that one is, where you're the two convicts.
Oh, The Way Out, yeah.
The Way Out, yeah. Maybe it'll end like that, where you're just like murdering each other to see
each other
escape.
Yeah, that'd be good. That thing's got to be, at this point, it has to be the greatest game of all time. Otherwise, like expectations are a failure, because you can't.
Yeah,
I mean, investors, everything across the board.
What I'm so curious on is like, can they have a stable launch? Like, will it launch with the online intact day one? Like, can they pull that off? Because they got better with Red Dead 2, but still botched that hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm also very curious now on the price point, having seen that and like realizing like the years of development, and then with Nintendo already going to 80, like I don't think this is gonna be an $80 game. I think this is gonna be more than $80.
Yeah, that seems likely at this point. It's just crazy to think that between like Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, it was like Vice City was developed after Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah.
In the same window as these two last trailers have come out for this game.
Yeah, that's true. And it was like such a, it wasn't even like, it was better, but it was just like, yeah, the speed with which that came out is nuts.
Yeah. It like there has to be a lot of stuff that they just like were developing and then they just dropped it. Like there's no way that they've had a clear vision on this and been working on it for what, 15 years.
Yeah. This definitely too also seems like the game that like I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to do another one of these. Like I'm very excited for it. Like, right, it looks great. Like I loved the experience of the last one, but like I don't know if I have it in me anymore to like plunk down the hours, but we'll see.
Right. Especially when it sounds like they're trying to turn it into like a creator content platform and all that stuff too, you know,
really?
with doing your, making your own stuff and your own content and doing all that Roblox type shit. So yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, game of the year next year if it comes out for sure. Like you can pretty much call it like that. It looks like they're doing all the right things. Like I just want to see like what are they changing with the world to make it engaging. Not that they have to do a whole lot, create a great sandbox, but
no. Well, I mean, you can't really write a satire anymore about the US. So.
Yeah. Well, and then like alongside this, this kind of got steamrolled, but like inside leaker at Valve like confirmed that there is in fact a Half-Life 3 build that began production shortly after the pandemic and is actually allegedly playable start to finish in its current state, which for a game that like has been on everybody's radar and like we've been told like so many times it doesn't exist, but supposedly this is the thing if they don't change the name of the game and they actually put it out, and it's been confirmed it's not a VR game. It's a mainline Half-Life game, and I guess I'm still skeptical that just because they have something that's playable end to end does not mean that Valve will give enough shits to actually put it out, is what I worry about.
Right. Or if, like, how the gaming has come so far since Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
That how can you even trust that Valve is going to live up to that expectation of what that game is going to be anyway?
Yeah, I could still see it resonating well just because there's so much, that post-apocalyptic world they created and the physics engine was great. And it seems like that's a lot of what like people like about things like The Last of Us and stuff too, is like that universe. So I think there's a chance here for this to be something. But yeah, I had the same thought, was like, can it rekindle like what Half-Life 2 left us off with? I don't know. Maybe. Or are we going to get another Halo Infinite and just be pissed?
Ooh, yeah. At this point, I'd rather take Portal 3. I think
I actually
there's
had the same
stuff you
thought.
could do with that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I have some hope. Yeah. I wonder what it'll come out on too, is, because they'd be smart to make it like optimized to play on the Steam Deck as well. But then you would think like, well, how graphically powerful is it going to be then? Or like what, maybe you can scale it down enough, but
yeah.
Huh. Yes. Return to Savage Planet. You been playing that?
Yeah. We just started it tonight, so I'm not too far into it. But the thing that really caught me was it has split screen co-op in
which never happens anymore.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a, go out, find materials, craft things to get farther on the island type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Explore the island better. And yeah, it's so far so good. It's pretty good. And yeah, playing with my son, I think that's going to be a fun time.
Nice.
That's on Game Pass. So.
And is that a newer game, or is it just new to Game Pass?
I think it just get launched. Yeah, so it's launched right onto Game Pass. So I love the first one. That was a lot of fun. And but yeah, I don't think that one was multiplayer. That was just climbing a mountain, or basically a tower on this island, just getting new things. It's kind of like a little bit of a Zelda-ish thing where you're getting new things to traverse.
Oh, sure.
You get to different places, but it's crafting those things by finding resources around the island. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had to Google it, and I do kind of recall the initial one. Yeah, there's been some good stuff on Game Pass. I really want to find the time to play Dredge. I've heard that's really cool. And then also, I wasn't excited about that new Doom game, but after watching the trailers, I'm like, well, I could probably play some of that. So,
right.
But what I'm really excited about is not on Game Pass, or at least hasn't been announced yet. And that is a collection of the greatest mascot platforming games of all time. Bubsy collection. But sadly, this is going to be released physically by limited run, so I shall not acquire it. But they are making one. And this is an interesting collection, right? Because it's got the Jaguar game, the first game, all platforms, well, most of them. The second game, most platforms, which would be like Game Boy, Super Nintendo, Genesis. And then the oddball is they're doing a PlayStation 1 in there too. So It's interesting that it has both a Jaguar game, which is crazy, and a PlayStation game, which that thing's just a train wreck. So I don't know. It's like this collection is for people who hate themselves because really, I think only the first Bubsy game is any good, right?
Yeah, and but I think that's what you're coming to, right? Is because of the notoriety and the generations, because 3D is a whole other thing compared to the other one. They're bad in different
Yeah.
ways, right? So, but yeah, I was really surprised to see the Jaguar stuff on there, to be like, wow, they're making a collection. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a release date yet. But it looks like it's coming to most things. I don't think it was coming to Switch necessarily, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have
Hmm.
to look. I mean, it probably is, but yeah, I'd love this to be one of those things where maybe they partner with Best Buy and it gets a physical copy in the store there. Because yeah, I'm
Mhm.
just not. I am not going to buy anything through their store. I mean, obviously it'll be digital too, but it is kind of a bummer though that they're missing some of the more recent stuff because there was like a pretty recent Bubsy 3D runner or like yeah side-scrolling runner, and then there was that Return of the Woolies or whatever, Woolies Strike
Mhm.
Back, that was last gen. Would have been cool to see some of that in there too.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't have put that in there, I guess, but who knows even who owns Bubsy at this point?
It's
I don't
true.
even know.
Well, it can't be like somebody who gives a shit if they've just been putting out runners. So yeah, of all the collections. But I guess this isn't any worse than that like LJN one. What was it? The um Bill and Ted one not that
Oh
long
yeah.
ago. Bill and Ted and something else. I was like, why does that need a physical release?
Yeah. At some point, are we just putting things out because of Angry Video Game Nerd just did an episode about it, you know?
Kind of
I
feels
don't know.
like it, doesn't it?
It's weird.
Yeah. Uh, what is?
Um
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your App Store Epic Games all about?
so yeah, I don't know if you heard this, that Epic kind of won a case against Apple
Oh yes, I did hear some of this.
about being able to circumvent payments outside of the App Store.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I thought was hilarious was basically day one, um, Epic had a solution available for pretty much every other app developer to start accepting payments out of the App Store immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're charging no fees basically on it for the first $1 million. So they're really like, Apple, you mess with the wrong people, we're going to take a big market share away from you.
Do
I
you
mean,
want to poke
that's,
that bear though?
oh yeah, that's a lot of money that Apple, I mean, that's like the one like big money maker for Apple, is just getting a 30% cut on everything.
So now
And
there's an Epic app directly for iOS that will let you install games and purchase them through that, and they don't have to give a cut, or what's the deal?
so there is an app now that's another thing that they have free games on there as well now,
Okay.
that you can download. To circumvent the payment system, they have to redirect to a website. So you can
Oh,
then
gotcha.
you make the payment on the website. I just wonder if Apple's gonna get bitter about it and just start like getting rid of some of their APIs to like from the web, so you can't send information back that they paid for it or anything like that.
Yeah, it could get interesting.
Yeah, because
Huh.
that's a cash cow that just all of a sudden dropped out from Apple, if that's how it's going to go.
Is Fortnite still not on iOS?
I think it's on the Epic Store. So all that stuff
Okay.
is like the weird stuff where you install it and then they're like, "Hey, are you sure you want to install?" You know, it does the
Sure.
whole like, "We don't know what this thing is. Are you sure you want to install it?"
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I had heard a little bit about that, but I wasn't keeping up on any of the stuff. The only really like legal news I've heard recently in video gaming world was that whole like Carl Jobst getting pwned by Billy Mitchell, which I thought was hilarious. And it seems like he's getting canceled now after he's got the completionist shut down. Like the internet is pretty much turned on Carl. So
yeah, it's weird because I mean, the vast majority of those videos that he did against Billy were pretty much true. It's just like one small section that he like got sued over, and that's what he lost on.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also dumb too, but
yeah. YouTube drama.
Yeah. Speaking of drama, so we got the Switch 2 that came out. Obviously, the pricing on that is going to change a little bit of the dynamic in retro gaming. Sony has hiked the PlayStation 5 a couple of times globally, except outside of the US. I mean, or outside of the US, they haven't done it in the US. But due to market conditions, I don't know what's changed. The world economy seems perfectly fine from my state of view. But Microsoft has decided that due to market conditions, apparently they're not good. I don't know what's happening. All their shit went up like across the board, even in the US, which it should go up for us. It's our fault.
Yeah.
So when you think about that and you think about how long the Xbox has been out, I think there was probably like, they were probably given, obviously this was in the works, but they were probably like seeing what Nintendo was doing and realizing like, okay, like we're not going to be totally out of line in announcing this. But I think the S went up, $70. The Series X went up $100. There's like a 2 terabyte version that's like up to $100 or $729 or something.
It's crazy.
All accessories went up across the board. Only headsets went up in the US. And then they said, don't expect game prices to change now, but by the holiday, our first party titles will be $80. And it was just kind of like a jaw dropper. And at the same time, you're kind of like, well, yeah, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I understand why you need to do that. Also, clearly you've not been like nailing this generation anyway. But boy, man, if you were not in the Xbox ecosystem already, who the fuck is going to buy a Series X now?
Right. And I think they're kind of at that point too. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, they're just going to pay the money to do it.
Right.
And because the console obviously is not like their biggest strategy going forward, considering their marketing for it. So
what is their strategy going forward? I'm lost at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, Gears of War is going to PlayStation 5. I'm just what is Xbox? Do they know?
It's everything. Everything's an Xbox.
It's true. I just like unprecedented times though that we live in, like that consoles. Like, I mean, this is like you launch a console, it's out for 5 years, and then you announce, hey, here's our revised, smaller version of that, and you're going to pay $150 less. You don't not change a goddamn thing and then raise the price. Like this isn't normal. I mean, but the world isn't normal right now either. So
no. The thing is, like, I mean, this is the climate that we're in is not going to last. Like, you look at like the charts of like the shipping containers coming into the US, like scheduled for coming in, it's like half as many. Like, this is not going to be sustainable the way we have it. The question is, in the kind of how capitalist we are, that we don't go down after this, right? Like this, once we hit this high water mark, that's where it stays. That's where the water is now.
Yeah.
So even if tariffs and all that stuff go away, it's a tough pitch to shareholders to be like, well, now we're dropping the prices again. I don't know.
I mean, overall, I think you're right. I mean, I think we saw some of that like with the pandemic though, where like base home electronics, like TVs and stuff finally came back to pre-pandemic. But that's like a thing that is essential. Well, I air quote essential in every home, but like, video games are yeah, maybe that it's probably true for video games. Like, why would they come down? They're the extra, that right? It doesn't
Mhm.
need to be in every house. So, yeah, it's just it is wild though. But you're right. Like overall, like prices on things will remain high for consumers, which is only going to be compounded by lower employment opportunities and like higher costs of living. And yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like being a active avid gamer could cripple you financially if you're just like a middle income person, like like a single family income, or even just like a single dude. Like, my God, such an expensive hobby anymore.
You're gonna have to call those gambling hotlines that call them gaming hotlines just because of
I
the
need you to,
situation you're in because of your video
yes,
games.
I need you to get me off of video games. This is crippling me financially. I mean, I guess there's a case to be made for like we live in the world of like Fortnites where you can just pick a free play game and that can be your game for the next 10 years. But yeah, it's shocking. And I think part of it too is just like the overall cost of what a AAA game takes to get out there. And then the fact when you look at Microsoft and what they own now is like the largest subset of AAA developers under one roof. So
Yeah.
kind of makes sense too, right?
Yeah, and for the most part, they're not all firing on all cylinders either. So then it's like,
No.
well, it costs a lot of money to keep all that running.
Yeah, pretty wild. I was pretty shocked when I saw. I mean, it's not surprising, but at the same time, it's just like, wow. Like we're talking about a console to me that is on its last leg and like its generation is over, and then we're slapping it makes you wonder what the next thing's gonna cost, right? Like out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, but it's everything too. Graphics cards too, where it's just like the MSRP on that stuff is just like a fake. It's a joke of what that price should be, but
Right.
it like launches and it's like $200 more than what the company wants to sell it for, even. So
yeah, it's all pretty crazy. I think the solution moving forward is just buy a Steam Deck, right? Like that's your console now. Enjoy it.
Yep. Yep. Well, we got that figured out.
Yep.
What about the game journalist industry?
Oh,
That's
you saw the Polygon thing?
yeah.
Like that's pretty wild, right?
Giant Bomb is pretty much all done. Yeah. It's
has there been more coming out of the Giant Bomb camp? Have they said anything or no?
The last I heard was that they're turning it into a guide site, which is whoever came up with that idea
works there currently that is going to want to do that.
Right. Well, a number of them do not currently work there anymore. So,
huh? I'll have to. Was there there been anything on Fire Escape about that, or have they not gotten into it?
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Listen, yeah, I saw the Polygon thing today, which I was never a big Polygon person, but like, at least they were like one of the media sources in gaming where they would just give their opinion and not, toe the line for access to.
And there's people that were running that have been there doing it for forever too. So
yeah, it's been around for like 13 years. So yeah, the whole industry is in turmoil for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to see. Just I got a couple more things. Like I had so much stuff I could have put on here, but just a couple things I was going to talk about. We've been getting back into like TV again, so we've been going through the whole. Right now we're cycling, alternating episodes between like Andor, how Handmaid's Tale, and The Last of Us 2 or season 2. I've gotten the furthest into Handmaids and The Last of Us. So, small side tangent. Disney are fucking assholes. So, this is like what, the 5th season of Handmaid's Tale and the 2nd season of Andor. Andor has been like, it's been 2 years, right? Handmaid's Tale, pretty large gap as well. Do you think they had a recap of what happened last season leading into the new episodes for either of those? Fuck no. So you spend the first like, unless you just binged before you started these, you spend the first episode being like, was that like, what is it? Is she like with the rebels? Is she not? And it's like, why are these people mad at like, like both of them? I'm just like, you just look at it. We're just looking at each other on the couch. Like, I really wish there was a recap so like I could remember where we left off or who was doing what. Cause this is stupid.
Yeah, and Netflix stuff usually has it every episode almost. I feel
Yes.
like.
And from what I've been told, Andor gets recaps later into the other episodes. I'm only on episode 1. So I'm like, well, if they had enough like foresight to do it then, why didn't they do a season recap? I don't know. Unless they put them separately, which I guess they've done sometimes, is they'll do like a separate recap and it, but I didn't see it in the main list. But it was frustrating for both of those. And I blame Disney 100% because they're in charge and they fucked up.
Yeah. I Recaps are tough though too because sometimes they mess up or they tell what's about to happen.
Yes, I agree. Problem.
Supernatural is probably the worst offender because they'll bring back something that's like you saw like 3 seasons ago. It's like, what does that have? Obviously, something's going to happen with something like that, and sure enough, it does every time.
Yeah. Yep, I would agree with you. They're the worst show for that. But yeah, the one I wanted to talk about was The Last of Us, the new season. I think I'm all caught up on that. There's been 4 episodes. That is very good. Once again, I never played the second game, so I just knew bullet points. Obviously the E3 barn with the twinkly lights and the girl kiss is like pretty much scene for scene in there.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy getting mad about them girls kissing. And then, the whole Joel story arc
Joel goes golfing.
coming to an interesting conclusion pretty early on. Everybody probably knows, but yeah, it's been very good. They're now like, 4 episodes in, they're chasing down the wolves in, was it Seattle? So yeah, been very action packed and entertaining each episode, which has been really nice to see. I'm looking forward to checking out more of that. It is such a well done show, like for a video game adaptation.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss on that one because I didn't finish the second game. Obviously, the first one is one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they really dropped the ball in especially in the pacing.
Sure.
Of how the game is in the second one. So I feel like the show would do a much better job at that. Introducing that type of pacing and just like switching gears type of stuff. Because that's what you expect in a show, right? Because there's different scenes. Whereas a game, it's like, wait, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
But also I feel like, should I watch the show before I beat the game? I don't know.
Are you going to go back and beat the game though?
I don't think so. So I'd probably just watch a show, right?
I think so. Yeah, as far as the pacing, like I don't know how it was on, in comparison, but I feel like they've done a good job of like compartmentalizing it for like an episodic show like that. It seems like there's always one big event that they drive to with each episode, so that's been kind of cool to see so far. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes because I really don't know much about the second one's story beyond like kind of the big bullet points. And yeah,
I mean, in the second one, they make a hard turn where you end up playing as the other girl for a very large portion of that game. So it's very abrupt to it's like, oh, I'm not Ellie anymore. So it's almost like a whole
Metal Gear Solid did you?
It's weird. Yeah, but it's weird to do that in a game where you're like collecting stuff and getting gear and doing all that. You know what I mean? To just be like, oh, and now you're somewhere else as somebody else and start over.
Is there a time jump?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. I think you should. I don't know. If I were you, I'd check it out. Like I'm hoping that, I guess I haven't kept up, but like I know they deviated some, or you'd think they were going to deviate some more with this one, right? Because presumably they'll want the series to continue, and there isn't a third installment of the game, so you'd have to almost think you're going to do something towards the second half to lead up to that. Unless they think it's going to be two seasons and done, but it's usually not how these things work.
Well, I don't think Last of Us 3 is coming out anytime soon.
No, they got to port
Considering their
Last
other
of
game
Us
is
2
just coming out, right?
times. What do they have coming out right now?
Oh, what is that? It was that trailer with the
yes,
bald girl.
Yep,
Yeah.
I remember now. Yeah, yeah, and then the last thing I watched that I just wanted to touch on because I thought it was awesome was, well, for many reasons, but they made a comedy special out of that Mark Twain prize for Conan and put it on Netflix. It's like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And it's fucking incredible. Like, it's so funny. And like Conan is like, I love Conan. Like Conan's like so crazy because like you realize that he like shaped an entire generation's comedic sense. Like Adult Swim and like all that twisted stuff, like I don't think would have happened if it hadn't been for like a bunch of us 10-year-olds like or 12-year-olds like watching Conan in the early 90s when he came on and was like doing, which they even had on there, like they had the masturbating bear and like Triumph and like all these like the interrupter man, and like it was so funny like seeing all those callbacks. And you know, he had like a lot of accolades too, but like there was also just like a lot of great jokes, people busting his balls. um really cool. It was a really fun watch.
Yeah. He's gosh, what an interesting case of like what could have been and what, like he could have been the top star.
He should
Top
still
comedian
be
in the
hosting
world.
the Tonight Show. Yeah, he should still be.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. He just like that travel show just didn't hit for me.
And I've still not seen it. And because I don't have access to Max, but yeah. Did you watch season 2 of it?
I haven't seen season 2, no. Okay. But
I think
he's yeah, there's certain situations where I don't think he works as well.
Sure.
But then there's other places where he is just the funniest man alive, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah.
His I listen to quite a bit of his podcast. Like I don't listen to the podcasts like there, but I listen to a lot of the clips. And they just uploaded one like last week with I can't why I'm blanking on his name, the guy from Barry.
Oh yeah, Bill Hader.
Yeah. So he has Bill Hader on, and then immediately like they get into the Palisades fire, and like his house burnt down, and then like that I forget the main gal that works with Conan, her house burned down, and then Conan had to leave because there was like no damage, but there was like smoke damage, so they have to like stay in a hotel in the meantime. So like Bill Hader and his assistant are telling these like or Conan's assistant are talking about like just the devastation of like realizing you lost everything and all this stuff. And Conan just doesn't give it. He's like, yeah, like it was really tough for me. Like, you know, I couldn't get to my house to get my good sneakers for working out in. And I really love these sneakers. He's like, I don't have anyone to cook for me at my home. He's like, I'm going to the grocery store. Like, what the fuck is Betty Crocker? And like, it's just like Bill Hader is just like dying. It's so funny because Conan just doesn't give a shit.
That's exactly it right there. I think that's what the difference is, that when Conan is a really good asshole.
Yes.
And how other people react to him is what makes it hilarious.
Yes.
And if people don't react the way that he wants them to react, then it does not work. I think that's true. The difference. Yep.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, he's usually pretty good at adapting and making himself the butt of the joke in most cases, but yeah. Like I watched some of that. I have seen some clips of that like first travel series where he does like the Scandinavian one. And like, yeah, they just like are not into that such a humor. Like most of that falls pretty flat. And
no, he's basically laughing at himself the whole time, and just like, you know how he goes over the top of just laughing like maniacally about different stuff.
Yeah. I think if you're a big fan of like Conan's late night show, the Mark Twain thing is definitely worth watching. Like the best was like Mulaney's giving him shit and talking about, like recapping his history and like what a struggle it is to be like a Conan fan, because it's like being a Cubs fan, like where you're just like always dealing with disappointment and like nerves, and then make some joke about the 2011 thing and like how Conan gets up there and it's like, don't be cynical, I hate cynicism, and then he's like, and then he collects $50 million. He's like, you're Hollywood's richest underdog. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah, I think I did see that clip where he's just like, he's talking like, feels like I'm supporting a third world country with Conan because I constantly have to like, we have to save him, we have to save Conan.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I laughed my ass off. I just actually watched it last night, so highly recommend. But
I think he could get even better the older and grumpier he gets. I think he could even get even.
I still think I know he retired from doing a show, but like I feel like there's still a space for him in that. But I mean, I guess the podcast network is kind of that still. So
plus he gets to just choose his friends that he wants on instead of like doing the whole press racket and just
it's gonna be exhausting. It was funny though, like watching. So I had the like kind of like that realization that like, you know how like when you were younger, your parents would put on stuff and you're like, I don't get it. Like, why are all these old people like in this award show and stuff? Like, why is this funny? It dawned on me in that situation that if I was watching this with my children, that's exactly how they would feel about me enjoying this presentation for the award with Conan. Cause it's just like, a bunch of like 60 and 50-year-old people like patting each other on the back and handing out awards. So,
and you have the context of everybody there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was great. And just seeing the masturbating bear one more time. The only thing I wish they'd had a S&M Lincoln. Like that should have made a comeback. They do bring back I don't want to spoil too much, but they do bring back the old crazy Bill Clinton, like, hey, Coney, with like the voice or like the lips over the cutout hole. So fucking funny. You could tell Conan was even like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we going back to this well?
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they do the year 2000?
It was referenced in a clip. But yeah, they hit on some pretty good recurring bits. Should we get into staff picks?
Yeah.
You might as well go with yours. Yours is interesting.
Yeah. I think in our last show we were talking about how we kind of fell into a pinball hole and I started trying to figure out how to accomplish or satiate this pinball that I wanted to play, and getting an actual pinball probably not the most logical solution,
right?
Because from what I understand, that's a gateway drug into more pinball machines, and that's another problem. So I broke out the VR Meta Quest and hooked that up to my computer, did the whole black market, find these pinball emulated tables.
Yeah.
Put a nice front end on it and play in in the VR. And man, it looks really good. And it's really cool how they render them where, you can look down and into the table.
Really?
I mean, everything is depth. That's my biggest thing is like you look at the cabinets, the VR or the virtual cabinets.
Yeah.
They do their best at like trying to do depth, but obviously they can't. It's just a flat screen. Whereas this, I mean, it nails every angle that you're looking at. And there's still some physics that get a little bit weird in it because they can't nail that. But overall, it's a good approximation of doing a real pinball table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like you'd mentioned that the last time we talked, and then I think in between that and recording this one, I was on Blue Sky, and then somebody was doing the same thing you were doing, and they had like a picture of their setup and how they basically built like a cabinet box like player end so that they could stand at it and like virtually hit the buttons like you would. like when they're in the VR, and I was like, that's really cool to just like build yourself a nice little box to like stand up to. So
It, I mean, yeah, being in the helmet and doing that and having that would be perfection.
yeah,
I never want to see my like video or a picture of myself just standing next to this box, just hitting this box.
it's basically like a
You know,
person with a headset standing by a urinal. I feel like is what it would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be cool though, just to like do something simple and like put the steel runners on it, so like you get the cold hands, like when you're holding onto the flippers. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
And you can put motors in it. Like they emulate a lot. You can hook it up to real shaker motors, all that stuff,
nice.
and emulate all that stuff. Even like the plungers that you can like attach different things to a plunger and approximate what that looks like in the game too. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
they kind of go all out. And they don't. There's the people that make these tables or make the emulated versions. They kind of give leeway to the ones that are currently produced, so you don't see a lot of modern tables.
Sure.
I'm guessing they would probably be in a lot of legal trouble if they
Yeah.
started doing that. But 5, 6, 7 years, you start seeing them. I think that's probably when you start seeing them getting released into this format. And then there's a lot of them that are just homemade, or just like they come up with their own theme and
Yeah.
create their own rule set. And yeah, it's crazy what they can do.
That's really cool. I'd like to check that out. In fact, I maybe should. I got the Quest 2, so I'm sure I can get something up and running on that. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, like
yeah,
anything, it's one of those things where it's a bunch of it's 5 layers of open source projects layered on top of each other, and 2 of them haven't been supported in years. So it's like, well, how do I get this
right.
running type of thing? But
Yep. No, it's cool though. I totally think you should build like yourself a little cabinet for it, just to get that feeling. It'd be really cool. Because then at that
yeah,
point, yeah, like you really would feel like you are at the dang thing. And then
yep.
just you'd have to like dry some Coca Cola on the floor right in front of it too, so you get like a
So
sticky.
sticky.
Yeah. Put some gum under the bottom of it,
Hmm.
and then just like a faint smell of cigarettes. Like back in the like we're the 80s bar, 90s, early 90s bar vibe.
Yep. And then take a video of it and then show like somebody in nursing home, like what is this man doing? Try and guess what he's doing.
Could be a good fail army clip. So my staff pick is a little bit less interesting, but I don't know, like the free movies on YouTube lately have like really been like right up my alley. And then I was just bored one night and scrolling through, and I saw Down Periscope, which is the Kelsey Grammer comedy post Cheers. It was, I don't know when it came out exactly, like mid 90s, mid to late. Kind of one of those comedies that doesn't get made anymore. It's he's an eccentric submarine captain in the Navy, and like kind of a misfit, but then they give him an opportunity to like helm his own ship and play some war games, right? It's the premise of the movie. But his old captain and a couple others are like rooting against him, so they give him a diesel sub, and he's got to compete. He's got to run a diesel submarine against all the nuclear submarines, and then on top of that, he doesn't get to pick his own crew. They basically like hand him the worst of the worst, so that he's going to lose, and then you kind of can piece together how the movie works from there. You've got Rob Schneider as his assistant prick, which Rob Schneider's great at. You got what's his name from Rocket Man, Harlan Williams. He plays a very Harlan Williams-esque character. A couple of other oddball guys. Then they put his or like his second in command is a woman. Women aren't allowed on submarines, so that's like a whole big joke, and playing pranks with stealing her underwear and stuff. So, but all in all, like this is a very by the numbers military 90s like comedy, but it's very good. Like I laughed a lot. And this movie pretty much gets forgotten. Like it was almost forgotten when it came out. I remember renting it at one point, but like nobody talked about this thing. Like it just
I,
got buried.
I do remember it, and I've seen it. It's been on these streaming things lately, and I
Yeah.
remember I liked it, and I've been worried that because it was just juvenile enough
Oh
to
yeah.
hit for me at that juvenile age
Yeah.
that I'm worried that it would not hold up. That if I
Come on.
watched
We haven't grown up that much.
it
I just made a American Pie joke at the top of this thing and we both laughed at it. So you're fine.
again. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. I better watch that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a fantastic movie, but as far as like a comedy that deserves better, like this should be up there with like a Stripes or something. You know what I mean? Like it should be
Yeah.
remembered as like a good watch. And it is. And it's weird to see Kelsey Grammer in something like that because like he's just continued to go on playing Frasier for so much of his life that um, seeing him in a comedic role like that is interesting.
Especially, more on the dumb side, whereas Frasier has always been the more intellectual
Yes.
comedy, right?
Yeah, because he plays a pretty wacky character. I mean, he's more straight laced like once he gets his command, but he's the goofy asshole that you're first introduced to. So it's kind of funny.
Yep. Huh.
Well, should we get on to the weekend rental?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the weekend rental, if you're uninitiated, it's a game we pick for a given system. We'll play it, each of us individually, and then decide if we would personally buy, rent, or burn that game. The console this time around is the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, and we are playing E-Swat, which is an early, you can tell it's a early 90s, late 80s, or I don't know when it came out exactly, Sega arcade game. It very much has that vibe and that aesthetic, a lot like, Altered Beast or that sort of thing. It was
Hmm.
Sega's bread and butter at the time, which was pushing really large, detailed sprites into coin-op games. But the counter side to that is like super limited control options. Like this plays a lot like how most TurboGrafx games play, where it's like you are putting up a big beautiful image and you have two buttons, therefore you're basically still playing like an 8-bit, you know, limited capability game, and that's exactly what this feels like to me.
And it's really slow, I thought.
It is very slow, and the whole premise is you're a cop who's in the future fighting. I didn't pay that much attention to the storyline, but you're walking left and right and shooting. I don't really know that I have a whole lot to say about this game because I'll be honest, even after changing the difficulty to easy and upping the continues to 5 or lives, I still couldn't get past the boss in stage 2. And I mean, maybe I could have, but I wasn't going to put myself through that. Like, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah. The is very much a memorization game.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta memorize where these people are, what shots are doing, and going from there. The thing that bugged me the most, obviously, that starts off, you're playing as a normal cop who just shoots a gun, kind of a weak weapon.
Yep.
And you kind of see you've seen the opening credit scene where he's like half of a
RoboCop.
yeah. So you're like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to die, get blown away. Like, this is RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
Does not happen that way.
No.
In after, I think it is the second level. He just puts the suit on. It is just the next level. You just have the suit on, and then the rest of the game, seemingly, you just have the suit. Like, what's the point of having the like?
Yeah.
Why did you have me play as this weak cop if you didn't have some sort of reason or like growth into whatever character this is?
Yeah.
Just
The
put me in the
suit
suit
should
right away.
Yeah, the suit should either be the thing you have to kick ass, or it should be the thing that you like bust your balls to unlock and like transform into, a la like Altered Beast, right?
Yeah. It's so strange. I don't know what they were thinking with that, because it really does not put the best foot forward on what the game is going to be like. Because it after you get the suit, it kind of turns into a whole other.
Okay,
I
that
mean,
was
it's
gonna be
still
my
it's
question because I bailed pretty early on this. Does the game get better once you have the suit?
I wouldn't say better. It gets even more into the memorization bullshit because you have a jetpack that you need to fly around in certain spots. You do have different weapons, but more often than not, you're switching them between them to better hit the certain enemies that are coming at you.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's a pretty good weapon where it's got like a pulse rifle, like a Mega Man style blaster. You know, charge it up a little bit and shoot a big shot, and that's pretty nice. But overall, I don't know. It's so generic in a lot of that way too, where there's no like design. It's just once you get to that point, they're just throwing enemies at you.
Yeah.
Just random clumps of enemies. At least there's a couple levels that are interesting. The second one where you're like jumping over fences, which is kind of annoying, and then trying to figure out where to go. That
Yeah,
one
that
was
second
a little
level with the
annoying.
elevators, like there's very little to guide you. I literally had to watch a let's play because I'm like, I don't know what I'm missing here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, the elevators go up. Well, that'd be nice if there was any I mean, I guess there was a slight visual indication, but what the fuck?
Yeah. To go all the way to the top and then just zigzag all the way down was kind of like, okay, this is not
Right. Just start me at the bottom and I'll zigzag my way up. Like it would have done the
right.
same thing, right?
And then the boss in that one is literally it's jumping back and forth between the fences. It felt a lot like they saw what Mario World did with the turtles on the fences that you're going back and forth, you know. Although I think this game maybe came out before that. I don't know. But
that's where they got the idea. Nice.
That's what it just seemed like. Yeah, that boss sucked.
Yeah, I tried it so many times, even with rewind, and I was like, I could take the time to do this pattern, but like, I don't think there's anything on the other side of this that's going to make me want to keep playing. So I just walked.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is quite a bit going for it. Like, I mean, like you said, like the playing into the RoboCop aesthetic was huge at that point. I'm sure this came out after RoboCop. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't hold me to that. I would bet though. The sprite artwork and everything is great. Looks really good. Big sprites, like you said, the background and the foreground. That stuff's pretty neat to be able to do that. Jumping in and out of like frame, but when that's the only interesting part of the game, the only fun part, because I found myself just like slowly creeping left and right and just constantly spamming shoot, and up until the bosses, like that's pretty much your key to just walking through the game, right? So there just isn't like I think even if I was playing this as an arcade, I would have been bored enough to just not put another quarter in pretty early on, you know?
Yeah.
And I know this is an arcade game because I have the marquee in my garage, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the respawn of all the enemies too.
Yes.
Just kind of sucks when you have to go to different places. That first level took me a while to figure out how to jump, where to go.
Yeah.
Because there's just like things where you have to jump higher. Well, you have to hold up and press jump to jump higher. Duh.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Right. Yeah. Which, that stuff is just not intuitive. Like, talk about like a platformer not intuitively telling you how to navigate or play it. But yeah, me stumbling across that too. And then there's also that section in the first game where they try to direct you on the way to go, but the way they do that is they have a character that's off screen on the far left that just constantly shoots bullets and kills you. So if you think that you need to go that way, you're just going to die. When in reality, I think they put that bullet there to just direct you in the other direction.
Yeah.
But that's not good game design. That's really lazy game design.
Yep.
And it eats quarters.
Yep. And the third one, you get your suit and everything, and it's really cool. You get a whole bunch of different weapons. The fourth level is like, go kill the mad scientist, and it's just like a lab with a bunch of purplish black goo, like chasing you and doing a whole bunch of stuff, it looks really cool.
Sure.
But it was constantly like, because it's such a self-contained maze that it's just like, there's just signs up that says no burner, which basically means like you couldn't use your jetpack. It's like,
Oh,
you just gave me this to fly around with. Let me play with it, you know?
yeah, that's not good. That sounds a whole lot like a Other M situation. You have all the power ups, you just can't use them because we
You just
say.
don't know how. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got good voice samples though for
Yeah.
early Sega game. I mean, they were pretty clear to be like E-Swat and Mission 1 or whatever.
Yeah, and it even runs really smooth with a lot of sprites on screen, especially big sprites. So that's impressive to see too. But I just wish it was more intuitive and like fun to play. And I think this game went for an aesthetic and a visual wow, and it just forgot to bring gameplay that was enjoyable
Right.
or
And if anything,
unique in
it's
any
like
way.
it's like the anti-Sonic, where Sonic is like the first level
Yeah.
is like amazing and then kind of goes downhill from there. Whereas this was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How is this your first level? I don't know.
What do you think you give it on the Byron Burn scale?
I can't give it a complete burn, but it's on the very lowest side of rent, I think, for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would give it a rent. It's not offensive enough to be a burn, but I think once you've experienced it, it might click with some, or maybe if you had nostalgia from playing it back in the day or loving the arcade, but there's not much to justify keeping it around.
Yeah. I was disappointed. I mean, I thought there would be more to, even on the story side, to be like, what's happening with this cop, you know? But there's nothing there.
Yeah. And honestly, the weird story beats reminded me a lot of like the 3DO era of games where like there was always like some good force against like crazy vigilante drug lords. Like it just felt like that sort of bullcrap. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, definitely a showpiece, but not one I'm going to pick back up. It reeks of Sega though, like for sure of that era. Like
Yeah.
it is the most Sega thing possible.
Yep.
But I suppose that concludes another rambling episode, huh?
That is another episode. Hey, we got an email address. You can send us emails at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, and we're on Blue Sky.
Yes.
Catch us on there. We have a movie podcast on the Geekade Patreon network. And what was our last one? The Benchwarmers. That just went up. Yeah. And yeah, check out the other great podcasts we got going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, be kind, rewind.
Bananas.
Bananas.